Cervical retraction is the movement that is the go-to for most physical therapy treatments when someone has neck pain, and for very good reasons. The cervical retraction movement moves the lower part of the neck into what we call extension, or a back bend. For most people, this area of the body, this lower part of your neck, the upper part of your mid-back area, is in a bent or a flexed position. There's no good reason for anyone to really move this area of the body, especially if you spend a lot of time sitting or if you spend a lot of time on your phone. This somewhat flexed position of that area of the body actually facilitates better function because the head is now actually going downward. And so for a lot of people who experience neck pain, this constant position of flexion, of slight flexion, leads to some disturbance in the tissues there, and that causes pain. And so retraction helps to move these tissues back more or less where they should be, where they belong, and it facilitates healing and recovery. So there's 3 different ways that we can perform cervical retraction that are typically very useful. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what they are. The cervical retraction movement performed in sitting is as follows. You'll be sitting upright in a chair. Your head will be slightly forward to begin with. And then when you move, you'll be moving your entire head back over your shoulders like so. This movement requires you to keep your chin level. And so I will keep my chin straight forward. I'm going to bring my head back and then back to the starting position. As you can see, it's not a very big movement, but this area right here, this lower neck region, is getting a lot of movement. And that's what we're focusing on. For some individuals who have what we call an accentuated kyphosis, that means that this area of the body, this upper back and lower neck region, it's a little bit more curved into flexion naturally. That has to do with the shapes of bones and not necessarily just the position. They may appear like this, and your head will appear to be much more forward than maybe somebody else who does not have as much of that accentuated position. And so from there, for those people, generally you will have to have a downward gaze, and the chin will be downward, and then you will move into the retracted position. Not everyone requires this. This is something you can try to see how it feels. If you know that your upper back is a little bit more rounded, that's okay. Try from that rounded position with the downward gaze and then move your head and neck back. The next one is what we call supine cervical retraction, or laying down. You'll be laying down and supporting your head with your hand. I recommend performing this movement without anything underneath the head, except for maybe your hand just to support your head. As before, the head is going to move back over the shoulders, and the chin will stay level throughout the entire movement. So to demonstrate, here we go. There's about a 3-second hold at the end range. Sometimes the other hand can be used to provide a bit of pressure. And that is cervical retraction laying down or in the supine position. The next one is prone, where you'd be laying down on your stomach with your forearms underneath your body, and this changes the forces on the neck slightly different. To perform the cervical retraction movement in a prone or a facing down position, you will put your forearms underneath your upper body like so. So in this position, to keep your neck in plane per se, to get the movement correctly, you have to be facing downward with your eyes, and your head and chin should be in the same position. That's because the upper body, the trunk, is now in this extended or angled position. And so you want to stay in that angle. So from here, I'm going to be kind of looking down, maybe just past my hands, up ahead a little bit. I'm going to move my head back and then return. That's the retraction, moving my head and neck back over my shoulders. Again, it's a 3-second hold once we get to the end range, and then a release back to neutral. Cervical retraction can be performed these 3 different ways because the effects of gravity are now changed. When you're doing this in a seated position, the weight of your head and neck is actually kind of pushing on those joints, providing a compressive force. That sometimes actually is useful and helpful, and in other times it's just irritating and not helpful. If it's not helpful, you can try performing it in the laying down position on your back, the supine. That does change the effects of gravity. And then there is also the partial kind of weight bearing position, if you will, when you're in prone, because now you're at an angle. So now the angle of forces is changed, and so the way that that movement takes place is different and can have a different effect. Sometimes just changing the position is all you need to do to get that result that really helps you to get better and helps you feel better. I hope that you've enjoyed this information. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks very much. Have a great day.